Hello, listeners, and welcome back to the Untethering Shame podcast. I'm your host, Kyira Wackett, and this is the podcast where we pull back the curtain on the stories, systems, and struggles that keep us stuck in cycles of silence and self-doubt. Today, we're diving into a conversation that touches so many corners of life: food, body image, perfectionism, even money and relationships. Our guest is Renae Saager, a straight-talking coach who works with high-achieving women who feel exhausted by cycles of control, shame, and that constant drive to fix. Renae knows this cycle well. After spending years stuck in binging, bulimia, and all or nothing thinking, she broke free not by finding the perfect plan, but by learning how to sit with discomfort, let go of perfection, and build a life aligned with what actually matters. Now, before we jump in, I want to share something that aligns perfectly with what you're going to hear in this episode. I'm running a free email series the week of November 10th called Boundaried and Brave. It's a 5-day journey into understanding and strengthening your relationship with boundaries. And did I already mention? It's completely free. You're going to get daily reflections and practices to help you stop people-pleasing, release guilt, and stand more fully in your values. And at the end, you'll get a special invitation to join my Spring 2026 Liberated Living program, which is a much deeper dive into this concept of boundaries, radical acceptance, and really emphasizing what's in your control. You're going to find the link to sign up for this email series in the show notes below. So do not wait. Get on that list today so you can be sure to join us November 10th. Now, really, this is what today's conversation is all about: stepping out of survival mode, stopping hiding, and starting to live in alignment with who we really are. So if you've ever said, tomorrow will be different, or you've lived in fear that people would see the gap between your ideal or your performance self and your real self, this episode is for you. So let's dive in. You know, I joke a lot when I record this podcast, and like everyone's going to be like, does she know any other word other than excited? Because every time I start recording, I'm like, I'm so excited that you're here. And the shitty part is I don't know another way to describe how I'm feeling right now: elated, joyful, interested, curious. Like, I know other words, listeners, I promise, but excited just seems to really encapsulate how I feel. And this is another one of those examples where we've known each other for 17 and a half minutes. And I came in being like, oh, fuck yeah, this is going to be so good. So welcome officially to the podcast. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you. I'm excited to chat. I am also excited, and I have other vocabulary, but that is the appropriate word. I am also excited to be here.
I like to start episodes by just doing a check-in, because I know you can appreciate this in the work that you do. However you're kind of coming in feeling dictates really where we're going, how we spend our time, what this looks like. And so if you could describe how you're feeling right now with one word, what would it be?
It's 3 words, because as you said, like, how are you coming in feeling? I feel like I'm coming in hot. I just feel like I'm coming in hot. I feel really good. Everyone just left the house, and so I'm home alone.
Nice.
And it's been a great day. Just like there's been good flow to the day, and I was looking forward to this podcast. So I feel like I'm coming in hot and I'm ready.
Oh, that is my daughter's favorite phrase right now when we're driving is I've really tried to do a lot of unlearning of road rage patterns, which obviously this could sink into so many things about our brain's way of functioning. And it's like, I'm never going to do that again. And obviously you do. And so you have to kind of reframe it. But a lot of conversations around driving and drivers and what's in our control. And something came up where we were talking about somebody recently, and I was like, whoo, they came in hot. And she was like, oh, I like that. What does that mean? And then we started talking about it. And then there's times where I'll have to take a turn really fast. I'm like, all right, hold up. We're coming in hot. And she thinks it's like the coolest thing ever. So I love that is how you're coming in right now with that. Similarly, I was describing to my husband, we went camping a couple of weeks ago, and it's been like a bit of an external shitstorm. Like, my daughter and I got sick. We started getting better. We got sick again right before we were about to go camping. Camping's not my choice of relaxation, but I know it's important. Nature, be there with your family. But I was sick. We came back. We thought our furnace went out right before we left. Turns out it was a thermostat, still like $1,000 fix. Our garage springs broke. That turns out the previous homeowners installed this other stuff. That was like a $1,700 fix. We're getting concrete work done. I was like back to back with contractors. Like everything has just felt like it's been this invitation to just give up control of my peace.
Mm-hmm.
And again, what I can control. And as somebody who often, I'm in recovery from a lot of different things that have to do with sort of controlling what's out of my control and controlling the things to even that are in my control, like food, to control everybody else's perception. I have such a call towards that. And I've noticed in the last couple weeks, nothing feels that big. Like I'm still having a full range of human emotions. Like I'm annoyed about the garage door, but I'm like appropriately annoyed.
Yeah.
And everything seems like much more in balance. And so coming into this conversation, knowing where we're going, I was like, ooh, this feels really, I don't know. I feel like it's like timely and I feel really open. Like there's a sense of openness to maybe there's something I'm going to learn today that I'm ready to receive at this pace, you know, like, ooh, I'm in a different phase of this. And also I'm noticing a route that I've gotten to, or maybe a part of the route that I've gotten to that's further along than I was when I started that journey and that repetition of like, tomorrow's going to be different tomorrow, like, or well, I fucked it up already. So here, the rest of the day is just like a fuck it day. I'm just terrible at this, or I'm not going to do this. And so let's jump straight in because I feel like so many people, whatever their goal is, you know, so you work with a lot people in a variety of different things. A lot of the times they're finding you if they're talking about food, body image, control around some of those things, yo-yo dieting, but you've also talked about substance use. You've talked about interpersonal relationships. Like it all fits. Most people, I feel like when they've got a goal of something they want to change, it's this, I'm broken. I have to fix it. I have to fix it as quickly as possible to be perfect. I can't be this version of myself. I have to, it's that all or nothing. And we find ourselves stuck in these cycles of just constantly trying to fix, to not drink, to not overeat, to not self-sabotage, whatever that is. And it's this normalized, I feel better and I try really hard and then something happens and I fall and then I'm right back in the same pattern.
Yeah.
Why do we do that? And why is that the unhelpful? Like why ultimately doesn't it work?
Yeah.
And yet we keep doing it.
I think we all have this idea that it's going to be perfect. I think we all have this idea that, I mean, I know that for food, this is a big one that I went through, and this is something I work with a lot of clients on, is that really, truly, there is the idea that my food will be figured out. And it's just, it's going to be like, I'm going to cross into this land where it's just like, I never think about how gross my stomach looks. I never wish I wouldn't have eaten those last few bites. And that's the same thing with our relationships, is that I will never be upset with my husband. I will never, question the decisions that I've made. And I will never, be jealous of what someone else is doing in their career. There's this idea, this fantasy way of thinking that we don't question. We just, because we hear all this messaging like, oh, reach your full potential and go big and you can do it, blah, 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 blah. And that's all great. And we need all of that. But the truth is, I don't care if you're at the top of the top of the top, there's still self-doubt. There's still shitty days. There's still, I don't feel good in my body. The most banging body out there has days where she's like, God, I feel disgusting. Or the most beautiful looking couple that they're like, I can't stand this person. Or the most happy looking family when they're on a vacation and it's a wreck, right? And I think that we forget to consider that because we're getting all these snapshots, especially on social media, of how great it is or how great it can be. And so we expect ourselves to hit that target 10 out of 10, especially when you're an ambitious go-getter, because the downside of that is that you do know you're capable of that. You do know that, like, if you just push and just go, like, strong arm your way through it, that is achievable, but it's not sustainable 24/7, 365. And that's the part that we forget to consider.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot about this term that comes up of the ideal self and who is this ideal version of me. And when I'm this ideal version, I'm going to have all of these things, which is sort of this like
Yeah.
delayed sense of fulfillment, gratification, life satisfaction until we reach these peaks and these points where everything is perfect and I've excelled and I've achieved at this. But the notion that the real self factors in human existence and
Mhm.
sort of reminds us that emotions do ebb and flow and we're going to
Mhm.
have pain and negative self-talk and nothing is static. It
Yeah.
is constantly moving and flowing. And so my daughter and I were just talking about this because she's almost 5.5 and she's trying out some of these different behaviors, totally developmentally appropriate.
Mhm.
Some of the things are like lying, embellishing,
Mhm.
kind of pushing the boundaries, trying to be a
Mhm.
bit sneaky. And there was a situation recently that happened, and we're talking through things, and she's like, I promise I'm never going to do this again. And I was like, buddy, let me tell you something. You're probably going to do it again this week.
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
not do that because that's a really unhealthy and unreasonable expectation of yourself.
Mhm.
We aren't going to wish away the human experience. Guess what? You're going to lie to
Mhm.
me again. Like
Mhm.
that's to be 5.5 and to claim you're
Mhm.
never going to lie to your mom again. Like, whoo,
Right.
that is a lofty goal with so many falls to the face coming your way. And I think that's what we do. And I mean, I did that with food. I still remember Kate Moss and this
Oh,
phrase of
yes.
nothing tastes as good as
Getting
skinny
skinny.
feels. And I'm like, yep, she's got to be right. I am going to have the best life when I can be this weight, when I eat this way, when
Mhm.
everything is regimented. And it gets
Mhm.
reinforced. When you
Mhm.
are the badass hard worker that's constantly focused, you look like you've got it all together. The world around you is like, I wish I had your self control. I
Yeah.
wish I had your work ethic. I wish I had a partner like you. I wish I had these things. And then it's, at least to me, and I don't know if this is your experience too, but now it's almost like the ideal self is out in the world and I'm portraying it to people, but the real self is also existing. And it's like I see the distance between them growing, but I am clinging
Mm.
to this idea that I need to stay this ideal self.
Yeah.
Not even just because I want to feel fulfilled, but I'm so afraid of what would happen if everybody else saw that part go away. And now I'm sort
Mhm.
of interdependent on everybody else thinking this about me, even
Mhm.
if it's a falsehood, because I need that at a minimum to be able to
Mhm.
be okay. And that
Mhm.
part adds just another layer of complexity to
Yeah.
everything, too.
Yeah. Well, I love the phrase "live for their praise, die by their criticism," and that's a big thing with
Mm,
body image is that we do get praised for it, and the other part about that is, like, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels, like, to be devil's advocate a little bit is, like, it does feel good to feel lean and fit and skinny. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and lie, like, it doesn't feel bad, but the truth is everything has a
right.
consequence. And if being quote unquote thin or being quote unquote skinny means you miss out on family vacations, family dinners, spur of the moment ice cream, enjoying a celebration, making memories,
Yeah.
being so distracted by how you look that you can't engage and have fun and let loose. It's like, is it really worth it? Like, is it
Hmm.
really worth the cost of that? We always forget to think about those things, but that's where, that level of self-worth and self-trust comes in, because if you're always looking to other people to feel okay, the second they say something negative about you, you're just like, "Well,
Right.
I'm a piece of shit," right? And it's like
Yeah.
you're just statistically, when you're dealing with humans, there's just no way everyone is going to like you and approve of what you
Right.
say, do, think, and feel. Like, it's impossible. We have so many cultural backgrounds and religious beliefs and political ideas and the way we were raised and our socioeconomical status and like everything that comes into why we think and do what we do. And the more that you can just like hone in and be like, I enjoy this. I want this. And I know
Hmm.
95% of these people around me probably aren't going to like it or get it or understand it. And it doesn't matter because I can go to bed at night and I can feel really good about this.
Hmm. Yeah, my husband and I were just we kind of try to meet quarterly to talk about financial goals, short term,
Mhm.
long term, everything in between. And like, what's the life that we are excited to live every day? And I
Mhm.
come from a huge money scarcity story, a lot of trauma. My mom was constantly, she was around when I was really little, but she was working all the time. And we were moving all the time. I don't really know that I understood what our financial picture was, but I knew that I never spent holidays with my mom. My mom always worked on holidays. She was constantly trying to earn money. She then relapsed back into some pretty severe addictions when I was 10. She had struggled way before I was born and wiped all of her savings, all of my college savings. Like things were gone. She was constantly stealing money. We didn't have it. Anytime things would be a bit stable or look stable, something would happen and it would go away, usually spent on drugs or trying to become this version of self. And then again, something would happen similar to what you're describing, and she would crumble. There was no inner sense of resiliency or sense of self-worth that she had that allowed her to ever feel stable internally. And so money was just this constant flux as well. And so I inherited a lot of those stories.
Yeah.
And when she was in prison and in different treatment programs, I lived with my grandma who survived the Great Depression. So I had that story also coming in. And so my money picture is just a little bit different than my husband's, who's like, they weren't rich. They came from a very hardworking family that created stability and security, and they always had everything they needed. And there was always love in the space. And so he's worked his butt off. He was a first generation college student. He's now a physician. Like he's worked his butt off to get to where he is, but he has much more of a sense of things will be okay. But our conversations are around this like constant fear of, we have to save more. We have to do this. What's going to happen? We had these things happen to our house. That means we're like bankrupt. We're probably going to lose our house. Like that's where my brain goes, and I have to walk it back.
Yeah.
And the opposite side being, if I have this much money, if I can get these things, if I have this, I'll feel okay. But it's all that external piece. And I think at least the way I tie all of these pieces together, from food, substances, money scarcity, codependence, there's this, I don't feel safe and secure in who I am. And underneath that is this sort of pathologization, if that's an actual word or an extension of pathology, of the self. There's something wrong with me. That means until I have or look like or do X, I will not feel secure, stable, and worthy of love, connection, and belonging. You are able to talk about this now, and you've been really open about your own experiences before you got to this point. Where I'm assuming you were trapped in these same cycles that a lot of your clients find themselves in. What were those cycles like for you, and how did you get clear on, oh, there's something deeper? There is this sense of, I believe I'm broken. There's something wrong with me. And if I believe that, the target's always going to change. I'm never going to break these cycles. There has to be a different way.
It's definitely been layered. And I would say I'm still in the midst of it. Like I'm still like, oh, I used to think that and now I don't. Interesting. Like that used to be a super deep belief that I thought was true, and now I don't think that at all anymore. So what am I going to think in 5 years from now? I always think that. I'm like, what am I going to think in 5 years from now that I'm just like going to completely disagree with? Because my mindset has just changed on so many things over the last 5 or 10 years. I had just tried so many things. And I think that that's where I'm kind of like the last resort coach that people come to, which may not be a real good selling point, but like it's true. It's just they've tried so many things and they're exhausted. And a part a beautiful thing comes from that, because they are so beaten down in a way that they're like, I know that I don't need another calorie counting, macro counting plan. I know that it's something mentally and emotionally at this point. And that's because they're like OG dieter and binge eaters. You get someone in their first year and they're like, just tell me what my macros should be and then I'm going to stop binging and it's going to be great. And we've all been there and that's great. And everyone's at their own journey and in their own process. But the people that come to me are like, listen, I've been doing that for like 10 years and I'm just exhausted by all of this. I'm exhausted by it. And so they're at a point of realizing, I don't need another food plan. I've tried a million. And I also know that, I mean, they even will say this on consult calls where like, I know it's not going to be perfect. I just don't want it to occupy 95% of my time,
Yeah.
energy, and brain. And, so they get to that point where there is this acceptance of like, okay, it's not going to be perfect. There is still, though, I will say, there is still the like, but if I stop binge eating, then I'm gonna have the perfect body and everything's gonna be great. There is always
Right.
that. There's always that, like, yeah, maybe they don't say it out loud, but like once I figure this food thing out, like my life is gonna be perfect. And also maybe not a great marketing thing, but like spoiler alert, like your life's not perfect. It's so much
Mhm.
better. But what comes from that is clarity about everything else. Because when we focus on the drinking and the binging and the obsessing over exercise, and that's always the first thing we tackle and the first thing that goes away. But then what starts to unfold is like, oh my God, my relationships, I have got to look at these because I am overextending myself to the max in my,
Mhm.
personal peer relationships at work. There's this, they're always like I'm going to be on, I'll be the first one to show up and the last one to leave. And I'll take all the extra weight. It doesn't matter because I can get it done. And it's just really, when we stop having the food or, primarily it's food for my clients. When we stop having the food as that crutch, you start to see things more clearly because you've just been kind of like looking through life with a straw. And when this is no longer there, you start to reevaluate things. You're like, wait, why am I so exhausted at the end of the day? It's like, oh, because I haven't stopped going since 7 a.m. And this is the only way I have to decompress. And so then we get to
Mm.
start to unpack like, how do you want to show up to this job? Do you still like this book club that you go to? Or are you just going to it because you've been going the last 8 months and you don't even like these snatches? Like, let's stop going to that if we don't want to be there. And,
Mhm.
so it's really just kind of taking a step back and reevaluating how you've been showing up to your life. Because for many women, there's the idea that how they showed up for their life in their 20s or 30s is how they should still be showing up to their life, despite so many circumstantial things changing. They're like, no, I still need to work this hard. I still need to maintain this weight. I still need to maintain these schedules. And it's like damn near
Mhm.
impossible. And so it's really kind of like what you said, unlearning. And that's a huge part of what it is just like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to I've outgrown this stuff so much. I just never looked at it and saw
Mhm.
it as optional.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that too, as you were talking and talking about the clarity, and I like that straw analogy, is really starting to clarify what are your values. And I think for many of us, what we don't realize is when we're first born and when we're children and teens and young adults, our values are really externally informed.
Mhm.
What you're supposed to believe, do, act like, think, feel, that's really shaped by your primary caregivers and then all
Mhm.
these extended people that you meet. And so you're not stopping and being like, well, how do I really feel about this? Do I really
Mhm.
feel like this is an appropriate way to deal with this? Do I value money the way that my parents do? You just are observing, absorbing, and sort of parroting that in many ways. And so
Mhm.
if you're lucky, you have people in your life that challenge that give you the opportunity to reflect on that. Many of us that have found ourselves in those cycles for 10 plus years, we didn't have that opportunity.
Mhm.
We saw and we were conditioned to believe that being the doer, the
Mhm.
performer, and the quiet sufferer
Yeah.
was the benefit. We
Yes.
needed to be that person. For some people, that was a trauma response. For some
Mhm.
people, that was familial conditioning.
Mhm.
For all of us, there's some layer of survival strategy that comes into that. And so,
Mhm.
how do you bridge that gap? Because I'm assuming, you're talking to, let's say you have a client in their 40s, you're talking about their work environment, how they're constantly showing up, feeling like they have to be the best. We
Mhm.
could go all the way back to middle school or elementary school, and they were probably doing that same thing. And
Mhm.
so, how do you pull them all the way back to start to see those threads and where those start?
It sounds so easy that people they're going to brush it off, but it's really just starting to look at things and ask yourself, do I want to keep doing this? Because
Mm,
we get just so locked in and we have these blinders on. Like the straw thing is that we don't see anything as optional. We're like, well, if I don't pick up the slack, who's going to? If I don't do the dishes every night, who's
right.
going to? If I don't take this kid to do this or answer the call when my friend messages, and if I don't do all, who's going to make the turkey for Thanksgiving, and who's going to? It's like they're going to figure it out. They always do.
Yeah.
Guess what? You
Right.
quit your job, they're going to hire someone by next week. It's just like,
Right.
that's what's going to happen. And we don't look at these things because we're so overworked and exhausted and just in survival mode all of the time that we don't see anything as optional. And some of the things that people are
Mm.
doing that maybe not quote unquote the best, you want to keep doing. And that's fine. Like, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to live. If you want to be I tend to work quote unquote too much. I don't care. I like doing it. I don't mind. That's how I operate. That's when I feel my best. And so it really is starting to just understand yourself better and consciously decide these things instead of just autopilot. This is the person I've always been at work. This is the person I've always been in my marriage. This is the person I've always been in my friend group. And taking that step back and reassessing, do I want to keep choosing to do this? And it's weird
Mhm.
to let go of things. There's always this fear. I don't want to disappoint someone. It's always it.
Mhm.
Like, I don't want to disappoint someone. I don't want to let someone down. And so much of the work that I do with clients and that do with myself too is befriending discomfort of just like with you and
Mhm.
the shitstorm of contractors and things going on is just like, yeah, this is uncomfortable and it sucks.
Mhm.
I don't have to do anything. I can just be in it and it can just
Yeah.
suck for a minute and they can be upset and this can be uncomfortable and I cannot like the way this feels. And it doesn't mean I need to do anything. But I think especially high performers are so used to, let me solve this. Let me solve this. Let me get out of this. Let me get out of
Yeah.
this. Let me get out of this. Let me get out of this. And the thing with food is that it is immediate. I mean, it is immediate. The thing with alcohol is it's pretty damn immediate, right? And
Yeah.
so it works. And that's the thing is like, I get why you do this. It works immediately.
Mhm.
And it is the Band-Aid on the volcano, like you were talking about earlier too, where it's just like, you're never going to be happy. You're just
Right.
putting a pin in it and it's going to come back and you can keep doing these cycles or you take it off and you actually do it right. So you never need to do it again. And that's something I tell my clients all the time. I'm like, and I stand by this. I'm like, you will not binge again. Like you will never need to diet again. You will never need to do this again because your relationship with food and yourself changes so dramatically that how you see everything shifts. That doesn't mean you might not
Mhm.
want to get more fit or might not want to adjust how you eat or might not want to change, read self-help books. It's not like perfect, but it's just how you feel and move through life fundamentally is so radically different after we work together because it teaches you how to feel discomfort, how to look at things
Mhm.
objectively instead of just I have to solve it, I have to solve it, I have to solve it and just like having life be a to-do list because then
Mhm.
you never get ahead. The laundry is never completely done. The dinners are never completely made. The house is never always clean. It's like there's always something else to do. And you can go through life and be really effing miserable trying to keep up with everything. Or you take a lot of that stuff off your plate and you take a step back and you let go of so much of that control.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a lot of what you're doing with people is having them consider, when you mentioned first, do I even want to do this? Do I even like this? It's what's the return on your investment when you do this? Like you absolutely can
Yeah.
count your macros for the rest of your life. You
Mhm.
absolutely can binge and purge for the rest of your life if
Mhm.
that's what you want to do. Or you can drink every day, multiple bottles a day of
Mhm.
alcohol, whatever. What is the return on the investment? And is this ultimately the thing that you really want to do? Or is it the thing that you feel most comfortable and trapped in doing? And I think
Yeah.
that piece is really, it sounds like what you're doing is giving people a sense of empowerment, this idea that they can choose something different. And so,
Mhm.
even though, and I really appreciate you in the question going, yeah, I'm not a therapist. So, I actually don't take it that far.
Mhm.
Because unfortunately, I think a lot of people will and do that don't have the training.
Mhm.
And so I think what's cool is you can then punt it. You can be like, hey, I actually know some therapists. Here you go.
Yeah.
But you're also helping them realize that sometimes, and this comes up a lot now that I've moved out of the therapy room and I do a lot of coaching, people that really want to understand all the depths and all the points, I'm like, sometimes actually all that doesn't matter. There are times it
Mhm.
really does, that we
Yeah.
need to go all the way back and dial it in, and you need all this information. It's super helpful. A lot of the times it really isn't. It's about saying, okay, so now I understand that something I did served me for some reason, some role, some
Mhm.
form. it's not serving me now as I sit in a place of empowerment to go, here's the return on my investment. I actually constantly am preoccupied with
Yeah.
how fat I am and what I
Yes.
should eat. And I'm in my work meetings looking at the muffins that somebody brought in, and I didn't hear a fucking word of that presentation because all I'm thinking about is how many calories that would be
Yes.
and how much time I'd have to move my body to make up for it. And if I could eat that, but maybe I won't eat it, but I'll sit there and think about whether or not I could eat it. And now 45 minutes has gone by and you've heard nothing in the meeting. The
Yeah.
return on the investment, not great. And so it
Not
sounds like
great.
you do that.
Yeah.
But then what you're also really looking at for people is how can they then, as they're making choices to do something different, to try something different, really focus on what's in their control. I think a lot of the times what I'll ask clients is, okay, and then what? They don't make the turkey. And then
Yeah.
what? You don't have turkey for Thanksgiving. And
Yeah.
then what? Like
Yeah.
most of the time, I feel like when our brains are in this fix it mode, we have whatever we assume the negative is going to be. And then it's just a period.
Mhm.
That's going to happen. If I don't, this will
Mhm.
happen.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then we don't continue the story to realize that it's actually, even if that happens,
Mhm.
still would all be fine.
Yeah.
Even if somebody called you fat, even if
Yeah.
your employer didn't like you and thought that you weren't working hard enough, like there are
Mhm.
definitely those things might happen.
Yeah.
But then instead of going, so I have to fix it, we go, well, then what?
Yeah.
Then what? And we keep playing the game till we get to a point where we realize you'd actually be okay. And it sounds like
Mhm.
that's a lot of the work you're doing because your goal really is how to help them be comfortable in that place of discomfort to
Mhm.
realize that choosing a different path doesn't mean that it's a catastrophic outcome waiting for
Mhm.
them.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's exactly right. Again, we never play that tape through. We don't question anything. We've just been stuck in this like it's like whatever what are those things called on the freeways that just like pull you in the tread. I don't know the things that
Yeah,
the
yeah.
divot,
Yeah, it takes your
where the
car right with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just pulls you in, and that's kind of the way that you have this plan, and then you go to the family, and you're like, "Shit," everything goes out the window, and there you are, like, doing all the cleaning, cooking, da 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 da. And so much of the work that I actually do is just helping them and I kind of hate this word, but it's really like up level their sense of self and self-worth because when you're
Mhm.
doing a million things and you're exhausted and you're burnt out, but then on top of it you're binging or you're doing things behind closed doors that you're ashamed of, you feel like you have to make up for it. So you feel like you always
Yeah.
have to do, go, give. That will bleed into our relationships, that will bleed into our work. And so when you feel better about yourself, all of the sudden you're like, wait a second, why am I doing their shit? Like, why am I
Yeah.
picking up my coworker's slack? Why am
Yep.
I doing this when nobody even I'm not doing this anymore. My sense of self has elevated. I no longer need to caretake everyone around me, nor do that I need them to do it for me. And it's that
Mhm.
emotional maturity of I'm going to take care of myself, take care of you.
Yeah.
I can't be mama birding everyone for
Yeah.
figure your shit out. And I think that's a
Yes.
beautiful thing. I know that that's something that I've come into a lot that's been like such a life changer because I recently had a broads who brunch thing, which is a new thing that I started doing and I love it. Where I just have women come over and we brunch and we talk and we do all these great things. And 10 years ago, if I would have done this, I would have been like, oh my God, are they going to have fun? I need to check in on them. Are they having a good time? I wonder,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, is what she said, is she triggered by what she said? Is what I said? Are they upset by this? Oh my gosh, I probably shouldn't have served
Mhm.
this. Why didn't I think about asking them? And it would have been exhausting for me. I wouldn't have had any fun. And I was like, if you don't like the food, don't eat it. If you don't like the questions, don't answer them. If you don't like me, don't come back. Like, there you
Yeah.
go. You're an adult. I'm an adult. Take care of yourself. And I think that that
Yeah.
is so freeing when we can say that. It's just like, I'm going to have a great time. If you want to come in here with a bad attitude and hate me and hate everything here, or we just don't vibe, fine, don't come back. But like, I'm not going
Yeah.
to spend the next 2 hours making sure, like, watching your eyes and making sure you seem like you're having a great time and that you love me because I need you to love me so that I feel okay. I'm like, take care of yourself, man. Go pee if you have to
Yeah.
pee. Go get some more food if you're hungry. Leave early if you need to leave early. Like, I just can't be hyper focused on how
Mhm.
everyone else feels. And I think that's something that women with just the type A go-getter high achievers are like just always trying to keep everyone happy all of the time. And then they inevitably get resentful and burnt out. And then it's just like, it's the snake eating the tail. And it's just something's got to give.
If you get to a place where you stop overriding your own needs and wants to take care of everybody else, I can picture it. People listening to this are going to be like, yeah, but that sounds bitchy. What if you sound like you don't care about anybody? You can't not care about the other people. It's actually not what you're saying. And I think that's where it's our shame's way of trying to keep us stuck in the cycle of still performing, because nothing about what you're saying is, I hope you have a shitty time. I actually don't give a shit about you and your well-being. What you're saying is, I'm just going to trust that you're actually a resilient, capable person that can handle yourself. And so am I. And I hope that you choose yourself. I hope you take care of yourself. I'm going to take care of me. And guess what? You can still be a great friend. A lot of what I think about for people, we talk about this with food. I have so many clients that are like, it doesn't feel fair. So often, particularly when I was in the therapy room and it was more like deep eating disorder work, a lot of the conversations around, it's not fair. So I can never care about what I look like. Like, this is recovery. I'm never supposed to care about losing weight. I'm never allowed to try out a meal plan. Like, I just have to be like, oh my gosh, my body's amazing. And then I'm in recovery because that's fucked up. And I was like, no, that's actually not what, I mean, some people think that. Yes. Some people in this field are like, it's got to be radical self-love all the time, no matter what. The reality being, so much has to do with what's the driver or the intent behind the choice. And so for me, I think about it, I was never obsessed with working out. That was never a part of my eating disorder. That was just, that was too much effort. The payoff was much easier if I just like took something and was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom and I'm going to either have it all come out one end or I'm going to make it come out the other. Faster, much more efficient. And I didn't have to be in pain, at least for like an hour long working out. And now I really enjoy working out. And so, but I'll notice every once in a while, those thoughts will creep in as I've made goals and I've reached those goals, or I feel stronger. And then there'll be a time where I maybe don't want to go work out, or the schedule is such that not going to this class I was going to go to, I can't do it. And I'll hear that little voice still, like it's a whisper. It's not a scream, like a blood curdling scream like it used to be, but it's like, you fat, lazy, whatever, like all these stories, you're going to get so fat, you're blah, blah, blah. And I go, well, that's interesting. That's actually not, the data doesn't prove that. And I don't go for you. I go because I like it. And I'm okay if I don't go. And so now when I go work out, I do go to the gym 4 or 5 days a week. I have days this past weekend, I was like, I don't want to go. My daughter needs a day to sleep in. I want a fun day with her where we go do whatever we want. I'm canceling this class. I'm not going. I could have given 0 point negative something. That's not real math. None. I had none fucks to give, and I would have like gotten paid for how many fucks I didn't have to give, for that I was in such a different headspace. And I think that's the conversation, is you can still care about someone else. You can still, if a friend is really in need, you can still decide, you know what, I'm going to give up my 30 minutes of whatever other thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to really be there for my friend tonight because this is important to me and I want to do it. When you're doing it from those cycles we're talking about, there was never even a choice to not answer the phone call. It was, I have to. The intention is driven by the survival mechanism. It's catastrophic if I don't. It would mean I am a bad friend. I am not there for her. All of these things, instead of going, I'm actually a great friend. And some nights I'm not going to be able to pick up the phone and be the one that's there for her. And this is where my trust for her comes in. She'll be okay because I can't be her everything. That's not my job. And I think that I'm assuming that you're kind of taking people to that same place of recognizing some of the external behaviors might still look the same if I were to see you out in public. But the intention, the driver, the cognitive brain power behind it is completely shifted.
I mean, it's just like going back to it sounds like she's being a bitch. It's just like, oh, that's just that's so all or nothing thinking, right? Where it's like how everything is everything. You're either eating clean or you're not. You're either loving people and taking care of them or you're a bitch. It's like, do you know how big of a lane there is between those two ends of the spectrum? It's like massive. And the thing I was thinking about with that too is like, if there were a bunch of dudes that had a brunch or a dinner or whatever, they would not be like, oh my God, is he having fun? Do you think he's having fun? Do you think he likes me? Do you think that I hurt his feelings? Do you think he's offended by this? Do you think they would just be like, dude, that was fucked. Yeah, I know. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, bro. See you later. Like, they just wouldn't care, right? But we're so, like, hypersensitive to it, and that it doesn't have to be that exhausting. It just doesn't have to be that exhausting. And then
Mhm.
going back to the intention behind it, like, if I saw you out in the wild, it might be the same. Yeah. Like, me eating a salad today versus me eating a salad 12 years ago, way different. Me going, like,
Yes.
scheduling a workout in the morning today versus scheduling a workout in the morning 12 years ago, so
Yes.
different. And so it's like the behaviors are very similar. My life isn't that different. Same thing. Like, I still like to eat healthy. I still value strength and moving my body, and I
Mhm.
think about what I eat because I want to feel good. But it's not the I'm going to die if I don't get this. I'm a terrible person if
Yes.
this doesn't happen. I'm disgusting if I eat this thing. It's just like
Yes.
the mood swings that used to go from 0 to 100 in 0.5 seconds are now just like, it's just like rolling, like, yeah, that sucks. I wish I
Yeah.
could have worked out, or like, I probably could have ate better today, or I wish I would have had a little bit more food earlier. And it's just like
Yep.
way less aggressive.
Yeah. And I think that's the piece where if you've been trying to play on this extreme end of functioning, you've been over functioning, overdoing, overcommitting, just overing your entire life, it does feel like the lane is really small. It feels like anything less than that is failure. And so
Yeah.
it makes sense. And sometimes I think just hearing that and having that validated and then going, and let me
Mhm.
introduce you to the grayscale. Because actually, there's a lot of different variations between black and
Yeah.
white.
Yeah.
And so let's look at that and let's think about those things and let's allow those possibilities. And I think for me, a lot, even when people talk about, I'll go in and I'll teach high school classes or college campus trainings on eating disorders. And people are
Mhm.
like, okay, so what's an eating disorder and what's not? And I'm like, gosh, we really need to be talking about a spectrum
Yeah.
and a scale of disordered
Yeah.
eating, a spectrum and a scale of body
Yes.
trust, body love, whatever words you want to use. It exists in this scale. And I'm learning for me, I can comfortably exist in sort of this wave and spectrum. If I
Yeah.
start to get outside of that, I know that I have to do some recalibration. I need to talk to my
Yep.
therapist. I need to reach out to a friend. I may be feeling this sense of external angst. The world
Yeah.
around me seems like it's crashing. I'm really anxious and overwhelmed. Okay, well, here goes. These are my strategies for how to cope.
Mhm.
And I'm feeling desperate. So, of course, they're coming back. I need to go check in.
Mhm.
But I also do exist much more in those spectrums. And some days
Mhm.
it is everything is meal prepped and ready to go. And I feel like I am on point. And then
Mhm.
some days I am eating the leftovers on my daughter's plate
Yeah.
and just trying to get by with snack food. And I
Yes.
do feel a little gross. And I
Yeah.
end up eating that Snickers bar and
Yeah.
like, not my best day, but like, fuck it. I'm
Yeah.
also going to function just fine over there. And
Yeah.
so I'm assuming a lot of times as people start, so you said they come to you, there is this like, everything's terrible. I'm exhausted. I've tried it all. They want to feel better.
Mhm.
I often talk a lot about avoidance versus approach goals. And so avoidance goals are a lot of where the addictions come from. Like, I just want to be anywhere but here. So the
Mhm.
food's going to take me away. The drinking's going to take me
Yeah.
away. This by overdoing it at work and feeling successful there, that's going to give me that, but it's an avoidance of something. And
Yeah.
really, it sounds like a lot of what you're helping people do is create a life they want to approach. They are excited to lead.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
why are you doing this? What is the why that drives it? What do you want? As you move towards that state, what do you notice for people? Like, how did they start to create their own buy in?
Well, I think that they think when they come to me, they actually think their life is really good, and it is for the most part. Like, I work with very successful on
Mm.
paper people, like your veterinarian and your pediatrician and your kids' second grade teacher, like very with it
Yeah,
individuals.
yeah.
And they really do think their life is like pretty good. And they're like, they're just like, "Ah, the food thing, like I've conquered so many things. I cannot get this monkey off my back." And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, we'll address
Mm.
this first. And we always do. And then they're like, so can we talk about, and so then it starts to move into those other things. And then I teach them, I mean, everything that we do in our work together, it's a skill. It's like learning the piano. You can't just take 3 days of
Mm.
piano and expect to be playing a tune. Like you're just going to be, it's going to be awful. But you give yourself a
Mhm.
few months of dedicated practice and you're going to be like, oh, I get this. Like maybe I can go buy some sheet music, like a simple Disney song, and I can like probably figure this out. And so that's
Yeah.
ultimately what we do. No, that's not true. I love the people that I get to work with, and I'm like, I want to work with you forever. But I also don't. Like I also want them to go,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
5-3. But some of my clients like that are in a group that I have been with me for like 5 years. And now they're just in a
Mhm.
group capacity. So it's just a couple times a month. But ultimately, the goal is to help them understand how to coach themselves and understand themselves enough that by the end of our initial, work together, that they're like, oh, like I said, I see things in such a different view now. I feel ready to
Yeah.
keep going. I think the other part about really ambitious, high successful women is, as silly as this sounds, so often we just need someone in our corner to, one, vent to, and two, get permission from, which is annoying that we
Mm.
need that, but we often do. We need someone that keeps the vision at top of mind, that keeps pushing us. And I think every person benefits from doing that. I know I love when I work with coaches that are just like, Renae, you're better than this. What are you doing? Like, why?
Yeah.
Stop. Just stop. And I'm like, fuck, you're right. You're right. You're right. Right. But I
Yeah.
get pulled back into that, like, just low profit, low self-worth thinking too, where I'm just like, ugh, why am I doing this? And I need someone to kind of lift me up and push me as well. And I think I just don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that that's such a normal, healthy thing. And I think know what you need and do the thing. You need coaching,
Yeah.
great. You need therapy, great. You need a nutritionist, great. You need a trainer, great. Like just know yourself and then go do the thing.
And that sounds like the very sort of healthy transition. That's a lot of what I'll talk about with people is I would see it in therapy a lot, particularly as we tried to make these positive changes where you didn't need insurance to say, okay, you have 10 sessions or
Yeah.
whatever. It was like you could come in, you didn't have to have a diagnosis. Often because we weren't clear on what our goals were and what we needed, we were just sort of in a space where we existed then. And so
Hmm.
I would have people that were seeing me for years where we weren't going anywhere. And a
Yeah.
lot of the conversation was, I'm not sure why we're still working together. And so I often think about my goal is to meet you where you're at and then take one or two steps further
Yeah.
forward to help push you to know where you can go. And however long that takes. But my goal is for you to get to a place where you don't think you need me. You can choose. Like I have
Yeah.
a really awesome group of women similar to you that like they've continued to meet. And I'm really just there. Like I
Yeah.
don't even really know why I'm there some of the days. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're coaching each other.
Yes.
You have this. Like, and that's the beauty. And
Mhm.
so I really love as you're kind of talking about this. And again, for anybody that's listening, we didn't even dive deep into one piece. We're hitting on food, we're hitting on alcohol, we're hitting on codependence, we're hitting on that success drive that comes and takes all of us. Like there's so many different pieces that all come into that same vein of that overextension of self and this
Mhm.
pathologization. We're just going to stick with the word for this episode of the self. There's something wrong with me,
Yeah.
and there's got to be something. If I can do this, be this, look this way, then everything's going to be okay. And so much of the work that you get to do is to realize and to learn that you are none of those things. You
Mhm.
are perfectly imperfect and you are going to fuck it up every day in some way, shape, or form. And you're going to have beauty and
Mhm.
wins and successes every day in some form. And so if you can allow the existence of that gray, that's really where that sense of joy and fulfillment in the short term and the long term meet each other. And we have
Yeah.
that peace that we've all been seeking. We just didn't have another route. And so, okay, before we wrap, two questions.
Okay.
One, tell everybody where they can find you and what that first step could be for them if they're like, okay, I know I'm ready for something. I'm interested in something and this might be my person.
Mhm.
What is that next step for them that they can take to reach out and connect with you?
I suggest everyone books a consult call with me. I'm not a real pushy person, and if I don't think I can help you, I won't. If I do think I can, I'll tell you. I'm not gonna follow up with you 15 times, but at the very least, just get more information. Like,
Mhm.
get an understanding, because I'm gonna give it to you straight. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I think our work would look like and what the timeline would look like, and if you decide this is great, this sounds wonderful, or I don't really vibe with her or whatever, at the very least, you have more information and you get out of your head and you stop wasting energy thinking about it. So I would say if I feel like a match, like that's a step. The first step is to just book
Yeah.
a consult call.
Yeah. And that's what I always tell people to do for me too. And I think one of the coolest things is then if you meet someone and you're like, gosh, I don't think we are the right fit. Maybe my expertise aren't right. Maybe it is like they need therapy or they need something else, or like there's this person I know. Oftentimes, I would say probably 50% of the consult calls I have are, I actually think I know somebody in my support network of people that's a better fit for you.
Mhm.
Let me send an email and get you in touch. And so sometimes it's just even start with someone that feels safe, even
Yeah.
if you don't know if it's the right person for you.
Right.
Because as you get connected and matched, like they're helping take that work away so you don't feel like what you said, someone in their corner, someone to just help them kind of move forward. And so everyone, there's going to be a link in the show notes for that. So make sure that you go down, book that consult call and check out her website and look at all of these pieces and just think about what would it be like for me if I could get to this place where I stopped feeling so stuck in that mindset of go, 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 break down. And I'm starting over every Monday with now I've got to fix this. Now I've got to fix this.
Mhm.
And here, this time it's going to be perfect. And everything is there. That's exhausting.
Mhm.
And it is no way to live. And so my last question then, you kind of alluded to this in the beginning. Your brain is always like, where am I going to be in 5 years? What am I going to be thinking?
Mhm.
So I want you to imagine that you re-listen to this podcast in 5 years. And that version of you is kind of reconnecting back to where you are now. What is something that you hope for her and want her to know in 5 years?
I really do kind of fly by the seat of my pants a lot. And so I think I just want it to be like, hell yeah, look at me out there doing my thing on a podcast. And I just kept showing up.
So it sounds like that sense of self-love and joy for yourself in the then and the now, kind of
Yeah.
that like blending of the two.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, this has been amazing. I appreciate this. I feel like an hour flew by.
Yeah,
Like
so
10
do I.
minutes in, I was like, oh no, this is so fast. So that's the goal. That's what you want. You want it to feel that way.
Yeah.
But I am so excited, listeners. I really sincerely hope that you go and check out all of these resources, set up that consult call. It's really rare that I meet someone that within 5 minutes time, I go, oh, I would refer to them.
Aw,
It often
thank
takes
you.
me many, many interactions of working with someone to know, oh, they've got it. They know their role. They know what they're doing. They have the right mission statement that's really driving them. And their focus is really about that sort of attunement and alignment of the self for each of your clients. And this is where it's at. And so make sure you go down and check these things out. And I am so excited for whatever is in store for you in these next 5 years. And I'm excited to continue to connect with you along the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this.
All right, everybody, go to the show notes, check out all of that information. If you're looking for more information from me about how to get connected, how to just stay in the know on all this new content, you'll find everything down in the show notes. Also, make sure if you haven't yet, if you have questions, whether this interview brought something up or something else is coming up, submit those using the link below so you can be one of the questions featured in our Ask Me Anything segment that comes out every single Monday. Until then, remember, one step at a time, take it as it goes, and we'll see you next week.